If I could recommend one camera equipment or accessory to any photographer or even mainly a videographer, it wouldn't be a microphone, a tripod, some crazy lens. It would be this. Yeah, I hope you've seen it. This is an ND filter. Let's talk about it. If you're new here, my name is Carbell Sarfo. I help photographers, videographers, and content creators shoot amazing photos, super nice videos, and even edit like professionals. So if that sounds like you and you're interested, consider subscribing. Let's jump into the video. So the equipment I'm talking about is the ND filter. ND stands for neural density. I'm not even sure. I have to confirm. But it's just a fancy term for something that does something very simple for your camera. What the ND does is simply being sunglasses for your camera. I wear glasses. I'm not here, but you can see on my profile picture, you know I wear glasses. And one of the reasons why I wear my glasses is that it's photochromic, meaning during a very harsh sunny day, my glasses turn dark or black, and then it reduces the amount of light that comes to my eye because I don't want so much sunlight entering into my eye. And that's the same thing this ND does. It's technically sunglasses for your camera. It doesn't make your footages all of a sudden magically nice. It doesn't increase your autofocus. It doesn't even make your photos sharp. That's it. But the question is, if that is it, why do all filmmakers and professionals spend so much money on this particular equipment? Hey, if you're still watching this video, I want to say, can you please take 30 seconds to drop a like on this video so that you can reach as many people as possible? I'm pleading on you. Thank you so much for liking this video. Back to the video. Let me go the long way and explain this for you in depth so you understand it and you never go wondering why anymore. Every camera's exposure depends on three settings: the ISO, the aperture, and the shutter speed. And clearly we know that the ISO talks about or shows how sensitive your camera sensor is to light. The shutter speed just also controls how long your sensor is exposed to light, so when it closes and opens. And finally, the aperture, which is the hole that controls the amount of light coming into the camera, but also it controls what we call depth of field, or how blurry your background will be. Now you understand these settings. Now here is where the problem actually starts. Let's say right now you are out there on the field, very, very bright sunny afternoon, and you are shooting your video. You want your video to be very cinematic, aka to have blurry background. It's actually something that now we've come to associate with the word cinematic. When people see your videos and realize that the background is so blurry, and they just have to think that your video is cinematic, and most people actually come to like that. And the reason why most camera companies are spending so much money making lenses with f1.2 aperture and all of that, because that's what people term cinematic. Now back to the question again. You are out there on a very bright sunny day and you are shooting your video. Number one, you want to have a blurry background. Number two, you also want to have normal motion blur. I'm using the word normal cinematic motion blur. And once again, you want to expose your image right. You don't want to be overexposed or underexposed. Now there's a big problem here. You want to have normal motion blur. You also want to have a blurry background. Obviously, your image is going to be exposed. Look at this scenario, for instance. Very, very overexposed. And look at this scenario, for instance. Very, very overexposed. And my ISO is at the lowest, 100 here. How would you make your image darker? Most beginners will just go straight to the shutter speed and start cranking up the shutter speed. But there's something very funny about shutter speed when it comes to video, that the faster the shutter speed is, the more choppy your video becomes. So you lose that smooth cinematic normal motion blur that our eyes is used to. You know, you lose it. The video becomes very choppy, and that is it. You've actually negated one thing that you're actually looking for. Unless we say, oh, okay, to make it darker, I'm going to increase the aperture value. So that means you're going to say f8 or f12 or something. But then once again, congratulations. You've been able to make your image darker, but you've lost all that blurry background. The reason why most people end up spending thousands of dollars on expensive lenses that can give them f1.2. So you see, that one doesn't work either. So to achieve normal cinematic motion blur, the 180-degree rule says that, okay, what frame rate are you shooting? So for instance, you're shooting 24 frames per second. The rule says that multiply that 24 frames by 2. That gives you 48. But because we don't have 48, but we have 50, which is the closest to 48, you do 1 over 50th of a second speed. If you are doing 60 frames per second, then you can say, oh, 60 frames times 2, that's 120. So technically your shutter speed should be 120 frames. That will give you the normal motion blur that we are all used to, and that looks cinematic. So you keep that one there, and now your video is still overexposed. And once again, remember, you want to keep the background blurry. So you're not taking the aperture value up. You're keeping it at the biggest hole possible. Say f1.8, f1.2, or f2.8, depending on the lens that you are using. That is where the sunglasses for your lens comes in. These will just strap on and now reduce the amount of light that is coming into the camera. Just like that. It's just like that. Once you put it on your camera, it's going to reduce the amount of light that is entering into the camera. And now all of a sudden your image has the blurry background, number 2, the right cinematic shutter speed to help you get your cinematic motion blur, and now the image is also properly exposed. Bam. Without they developing the ND filter or you having an ND filter, when you are shooting outdoors, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't add up for you to be able to expose your image without sacrificing the called blurry background that people want to see in your videos, and also without you sacrificing having normal motion blur and going to the other way around and getting that choppy image. It's just so hard that way. So mine is a VND, meaning variable ND filter. All right, instead of having just one stop, mine, if I just twist this ring, it will just, you see the amount of light that comes to the camera changes. So there's like mine is particularly 1 to 5 stops. So 1 stop, 2 stop, 3 stop, 4 stop, 5 stop, all for different scenarios. All right. Most people sell, some are there that are being sold. Some are there that are being sold. You have just 1 stop, just one particular filter, and just 1 stop. Others have 8, whatever stops that they have. Mine is the VND, and the reason why I go for the VND is because they just want equipment doing like that of 5 filters for me. All right, and also makes me carry less things when I'm moving around. Plus, it's budget friendly, so yeah, I like that one. But there's something you have to know when you're buying ND filters. The first thing is that no matter what lens you are using, the moment you start introducing glass elements in front of your lens, you're going to reduce the quality of the image depending on the quality of glass that you have in front of it. All right. The reason why people will say, look, the camera body doesn't really matter. What matters even more is the lens that you place on the camera body. So you can put a very expensive high-end lens on an old camera body and you get super nice videos and photos. But if you put a very, old, not high quality lens on a newer body, you get bad footage. It's the same thing when it comes to buying ND or any filters at all. Make sure you're buying the highest quality that you can get. Highest quality to price ratio. There's a level where the price makes sense for that quality. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. All I'm saying is that buy a proper one. All right, do your research and see the ones that most filmmakers are recommending and buy it, because any glass going in front of your lens should be high quality or else it will start softening your image. This is not a paid promotion video, all right, but NiSi is one of the ones that I will recommend. They make very, very good filters, and this one, my friend got it and then passed it down to me when he gave me the lens that I'm using for my photography work. But I recommend NiSi. This is a very good one if you want to buy one. But like I say, do more research and see the kind of work you do and the people in that industry, what they use, and then you can go after one of those. When you're buying filters, the size matters. All right, this filter is the first filter he bought, and this is just for the 50mm. There's only 50mm. All right, it can't go on any other. That lens is so small, so this one is so tiny and just for that one. What I've seen him do is that ever since he bought this and he realized it, he decided to get the biggest possible one. So he got 82mm thread. All lenses have their thread size in front of the lens, so you can look at the lens, you see it in front of it. Some have 42, some have 67, some have 82, written on it. That shows you the filter thread. So what he's done is that he's bought 82mm lenses. So he has 2 other ND and they're all 82mm, very, very big. And now he's bought step-up rings. So step-up rings will allow you to adapt that 82 to any smaller lens, any smaller filter thread. All right, so he has 67 to 82 filter thread, and that way he can put a bigger, ND filter on the smaller lens. It just makes sense. Otherwise, you end up buying so much filters, which I would not recommend. You just get one big one, and then you get step-up rings that can help you adapt the bigger ND filter or filter to the smaller filter threads. I've said a lot of stuff. ISO is a very tricky, very funny area that people are very scared of. I made a video here going deep into ISO, talking about things that you should know and how to properly, get out of that space and use the ISO to get the best photos and videos that you can possibly get for what you're shooting. Check that one out. Catch you in the very next video. Peace.